Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a closer look at a big topic, ancient Greece and its legacy.
That's right. We're using Kadir Kubitschek's article, The Ancient Greek Balloon, as our main source here.
And it basically asks, have we maybe inflated their reputation, over-idealized them?
Exactly. You hear so much about the philosophy, the science, the art, but Kubitschek suggests we've almost made them into these superhuman figures.
Right, like infallible geniuses. So our mission for you listening is to explore if this greatness really stands up to scrutiny. Are there biases here?
Yeah, let's try and unpack that idolization, as Kubitschek calls it.
Okay, so where does this idolization come from? He points back quite a way, doesn't he, to the Renaissance?
The Renaissance and the Enlightenment, rediscovering those ancient texts, seeing Greece as this classical ideal.
And then that sort of cemented it as the starting point for Western thought.
Pretty much. Greek philosophy got woven into European intellectual traditions, and, well, that naturally put those Greek thinkers on a pedestal, almost godlike in a way.
But, were they really that far beyond everyone else? Kubitschek argues we need context.
Absolutely. Acknowledge the contributions, yes, but see them within their time. Their ideas were frameworks, not necessarily absolute truths forever.
And they've evolved, haven't they? Or been challenged.
Definitely. Take someone like Pythagoras or Euclid, Archimedes. Huge discoveries, no doubt.
But limited by what they knew then.
Exactly. Pythagoras seeing the universe as, musically structured. It's a fascinating idea, but more metaphysical than what we'd call hard science now.
And the lack of a formal scientific method, that's a big point Kubitschek makes.
Yeah. Think of Aristotle's physics or biology. Groundbreaking for his time, asking key questions, but many theories were speculative.
And later proven wrong, right? Once we had better tools and methods.
Precisely. So this idea of a perfect high civilization, it gets complicated.
Especially when you bring in the social issues. Kubitschek mentions slavery.
He does. It's hard to square the idea of universal wisdom with the fact that many of these great minds, they accepted or even endorsed slavery.
That definitely challenges the narrative. And then there are the sophists.
Yes. Kubitschek's take is pretty blunt. He calls them skilled swindlers.
Ouch. Because they taught rhetoric for money. How to win an argument, not necessarily find truth.
That's the critique. Their focus was on persuasion and this idea of man is the measure of all things, relativism.
Which thinkers like Socrates and Plato really pushed back against.
They did. They saw it as prioritizing winning over actual knowledge. Aristotle later broke down their methods as often using flawed reasoning, logical fallacies.
Kubitschek also brings up gender roles, using a play by Aristophanes.
Right. Thesmophoria Kudlain Kadinlar. It's a comedy, a satire, but it depicts, pretty degrading treatment of women.
But also shows women engaging in deceit, too. It sounds complex.
It is. But the underlying point is the control men exerted. Women in Athens, for instance, lacked citizenship, had very limited rights, mostly confined to the home.
And Kubitschek draws a parallel there, maybe controversially, to some contemporary societies.
He suggests a similarity in the gender dynamics, yeah. Strict controls, double standards. It challenges that high civilization label again.
So based on all this, the limits of their science, the social issues like slavery and women's status, Kubitschek argues it's maybe naive to just call it a high civilization.
Yeah, he questions the criteria. If we mean technological progress, equality, justice, by today's standards, it falls short in key areas.
And he feels this idealization serves a purpose, like reinforcing Western cultural dominance.
That's his argument, that it can diminish the contributions of other cultures and create this sort of linear progression narrative starting from Greece. He calls for a more critical view, one that isn't so Western-centric.
It's interesting, though, that despite all this criticism, Kubitschek still expresses personal admiration for Aristotle.
He does, specifically for his logic. He calls Aristotle a genius and a mentor in that domain.
So it's about nuance, recognizing brilliance in one area while acknowledging flaws or limitations elsewhere?
Exactly that. Respecting the groundbreaking work, like developing systematic logic, is different from accepting all his scientific ideas as fact. Many were, as we said, speculative or limited by the era's technology.
You can learn from the strengths while still critiquing the weaknesses.
Absolutely. Aristotle's contribution to logical, analytical thinking is undeniable and incredibly influential, even if his biology wasn't perfect.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the key takeaway seems to be that this image of ancient Greece as this pure font of wisdom and a perfect society, it's more complicated.
Much more. It's a view shaped by history, by the Renaissance, by Western perspectives. We need to see the limitations in science, in social structures, with figures like the sophists.
Understanding that helps you, the listener, move beyond just, hero worship.
Yeah.
It gives you a framework for questioning these big historical narratives.
It encourages a more balanced, critical appreciation, doesn't it?
Definitely. And it leaves us with a thought, maybe. If the ancient Greek balloon can be deflated a bit, what other historical golden ages might have their own inflated reputations?
What other narratives have been shaped by later interpretations or cultural biases? Something to think about.
A great point to end on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.